everybody, it's Dr. Anjana Bhana speaking all things wellness and aesthetics. Thank you for joining me again on our YouTube channel. And exciting, we have Lisa again with all her knowledge. So today we're going to talk about something super trending, but also let's not take away from the fact that it is also super effective. It's CBD. So CBD in skincare specifically. Thank you, Lisa, for joining us again. And I'm so excited to have you back here. I know you guys did a webinar recently on CBD and the benefits of CBD. So what is CBD actually?
So CBD is a extract that is found in cannabis plants.
Yes.
So we have different compounds that are extracted from the cannabis plants, and there are many benefits associated with CBD for the body and for the skin.
And when did this start? When did all this CBD, when did it become known that there are these benefits?
It hasn't actually been known for very long. So the endocannabinoid system,
Yes.
which is present in the body, which means we basically have receptor sites on our cells which can respond to CBD extract. The endocannabinoid system was only discovered about 60 years ago, so it hasn't been around that long.
Yes, I was about to say, I was listening to a podcast
Yes.
about it, and it was when it was, Woodstock days, and that's
Exactly.
when they were discovering that
The benefits.
the benefits, but they were more focused on the THC part
Exactly.
versus the CBD
Yes.
part. So it hasn't been known for a long time. And what is fascinating is, if we've got an endocannabinoid system, we make our own
Absolutely.
cannabinoids,
Yes.
which is really, and I know people were talking about how it's still, it's new, people are scared to take it, and someone was saying about omega-3s. It's like we don't have an omega-3 system, but
No.
we're not scared
Exactly.
of omega-3. So it's really interesting that you brought that up, and that we have that system within ourselves,
In our bodies already,
the
yes.
receptors to accept these.
Yeah.
And then with CBD, so it's an oil that is extracted from the plant, and I believe there's over 100 cannabinoids
Yes.
in the plant. So what makes CBD, the cannabinoid, so special?
Well, CBD, because we have the endocannabinoid system in the
Yes.
body, that system is there to maintain homeostasis or balance in the body, for someone that doesn't understand that term. And CBD, along with THC,
Yes.
are the most common compounds that we use
Yes.
for the body. CBD has so many different benefits when used in the correct quantity,
Yes.
and it has an effect on over 500 genes in the body.
Wow. Okay.
And has many different health or systemic benefits, but also many different benefits for the skin. It's also lovely because it's a versatile ingredient that can be combined with other regimens to improve its efficacy.
Okay, great. And then in terms of including it into products, so I've been wanting to for ages develop a CBD based product, and
Yes.
after researching decided to go the full spectrum
Yes.
route, so with the CBN and also a little bit
Instead
of
of the isolate, yes.
instead of the isolate, some THC, and also those plant terpenes, like all these. It's amazing that if you look at the back of your product, there'll be like lavender extract or D-limonene, but these are all like terpenes. So
Yes.
and I think there's over 140
Yes.
in cannabis. So that's the route we decided to go. But there's no right or wrong. If you can explain like broad spectrum, full spectrum,
Yes.
and CBD isolate, what's the difference?
So CBD isolate is pure CBD, and
Yes.
this excludes any other compounds, which it has its uses,
Yes.
but in the general sense of the word CBD, which is a broad spectrum CBD,
Yes.
has more benefits because it has what they call an entourage
Yes.
effect, which we don't know enough about yet, but it basically means that you've got all these additional terpenes and compounds that are naturally made in the plant that we can benefit from as well. The obvious difference between a broad spectrum and an isolate is that the broad spectrum does contain some THC, which is commonly known as the part of the cannabis plant or the compound that has a psychoactive effect.
Yes.
So many people are scared to use CBD products because they are scared that they will have a psychoactive effect if they use it on their skin. And the broad spectrum CBD that we use actually contains such a little amount of THC that it has no psychoactive benefits or effects. And it also doesn't penetrate into the blood to have such an effect on the body.
I suppose you could describe this entourage effect as like an orchestra.
Exactly.
And then, but the CBD isolate is also cool by itself, so it's the violin player.
Exactly. so you kind of need both.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
And then your experience, have you used any CBD based products?
Yes. So we've actually seen tremendous benefits for patients that have any chronic inflammatory disorder in the skin. And when you use CBD topically, it has an effect on upregulating the function of the fibroblast, which, as you know, is our protein synthesis factory in the skin. It makes collagen and elastin and our natural moisturizing factors. It downregulates sebum production. It downregulates inflammation markers. It even has a downregulating effect on melanin production. So for patients with a chronic inflammatory skin disorder, it works exceptionally well, specifically well in patients that suffer from rosacea. Although it's not a treatment for rosacea, it does address the symptoms associated with rosacea flare-ups, which is most often chronic inflammation, often an overactive sebaceous gland where you produce too much sebum, and a destruction of the collagen in the skin over time, which causes textural abnormalities. And that is why CBD works so well for those kind of conditions.
So for the practitioners out there, they know what you're saying.
Yes.
Because it was so beautiful. But for all the patients watching,
how can we explain it?
It's amazing that it reduces sebum, so reducing your breakouts without like claiming to be curative. We have to be so careful what we say, because things like rosacea and acne are medical conditions, so we can't claim to cure them, but it definitely helps the symptoms of these conditions, and reducing melanin production. And a big thing you mentioned, because it's got some antioxidants and anti-inflammatory benefits, it pumps up the fibroblasts, so anti-aging. So it's an all-rounder sort of.
It's an all-rounder product, yes.
And there's something interesting you said homeostasis. So homeostasis, bringing balance. So it's almost for everyone.
It is absolutely for everyone. Anyone can benefit from using CBD in their routine, specifically in South Africa, where we are so exposed to harmful external elements that consistently attack our cells and the normal functioning of our skin.
Yes, and that's what I heard. Someone was, I love podcasts, okay guys, so I love podcasts. I was listening to someone about her life in the UK, in London specifically, and how much pollution they have there, and how her CBD product, particularly whatever she was using, she could see a difference in her skin due to the antioxidant benefits.
I think it's great when you combine it with other ingredients as well. I think CBD, just like any other amazing ingredient out there, will always be better when it's combined with a few other beneficial ingredients such as antioxidants. But it's the one ingredient I've come across which ticks many boxes.
Yes.
And is particularly good for patients that have more than one skin condition that they are concerned with, such as the effects of pollution, hyperpigmentation, breakouts, inflammation and sensitivity in the skin.
And then have you seen any benefit from taking it orally on the skin, or I know, in terms of easing anxiety and in certain concentrations also being used for pain management, but have you seen any benefits in that way?
Absolutely. For pain management, you're seeing a huge increase in the amount of CBD products that are available for sports massage, and specifically to reduce pain associated with stress in the muscles. So in terms of that application, there's so many clinical studies that have been done that backs up the efficacy of this ingredient for those purposes. So I definitely think there's so many untapped benefits that we haven't discovered yet, and we'll continue to discover more as we do more research into this ingredient.
And then for people out there that may be afraid to try CBD topically, what would you say to them?
We definitely say to them, go for it. They have nothing to be afraid of, provided that they are using a CBD source that contains minimal amounts of THC, which does not have a psychoactive effect. So the CBD used by itself will not have any kind of psychoactive effects on the body.
And that brings me to, before we end off, how to choose a CBD product, because there's so many out there now, and to make sure your source is pesticide free, has a COA.
Yeah.
You can explain what that is.
And also the way it's listed in the ingredients as a cannabidiol. You also need to be mindful of the milligrams that you're using, because it needs to be at a certain percentage inside the product that you're using, between 2 and 6%, or 2 and 6 milligrams per milliliter that you're using in the product. That is necessary. We also need to be mindful of the base in which the CBD is suspended, because you get a lot of over-the-counter products that are popping up in health shops, that's being compounded in someone's kitchen, and depending on the base that it's suspended in, that can cause additional problems on the skin, which is not related to the actual CBD. So those are important factors to consider before you make a decision.
Hey, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
We've come to the end of our first interview and talk on CBD and the skin. But this is definitely not the last. It's a huge topic, and if you'd like to hear more about it, please drop us your questions and comments below. Like and subscribe. If you'd like to hear anything else or discuss any other topics, I'd love to hear about it. So thanks for joining us, guys. Dr. Anjana Bhana signing out.